Brianna Lyman, a massive scandal. Fulton County admits that they violated the rules in 2020 when they certified 315,000 early votes that lacked poll workers' signatures. Quote, we don't dispute the allegation. The SOS also found FC violated official election processes. Fulton County admits 315,000 votes lacking poll workers' signatures were counted in 2020. This is going to be on the Federalist.com. And let's see. Earlier this month, Fulton County admitted that approximately 315,000 early votes from the 2020 election were illegally certified, but were nonetheless still included in the final results of that election. The admission came during a December 9th hearing before the Georgia State Election Board, stemming from a challenge filed by David Cross, a local election integrity activist. Cross filed a challenge with the SEB in March of 2022. Cross alleged that Fulton County violated Georgia statute in the handling of advanced voting ahead of the November 2020 election, counting hundreds of thousands of votes, even though polling workers failed to sign off on the vote tabulation tapes critical to the certification process. And Fulton County admitted to it. And Brombaugh, attorney for the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections, told the SEB in the hearing that while she has not seen the tapes herself, the county does not dispute that the tapes were not signed. Brombaugh continued, it was a violation of the rule. We, since 2020, again, we have new leadership and a new building and a new board and a new standard operating procedures. And since the training has been enhanced, but we don't dispute the allegation from the 2020 election. So what? In other words, they're like, yeah, we messed up, but we totally won't do it again, because it's not like anybody's going to really be held accountable for all this, because they're not. Anyway, Georgia's Secretary of State office investigated the alleged failure to sign tabulation tapes and substantiated the findings that Fulton County violated official election record document processes when it was discovered that 36 out of 37 advanced voting precincts in Fulton County, Georgia, failed to sign the tabulation tapes as required by statute, according to a 2024 investigation summary. In addition to probing the unsigned tabulation tapes, the investigation also found that officials at 32 polling sites failed to verify their zero tapes. So whenever you hear Trump say that the election was stolen, there's a lot of validity to that. And this is a perfect example. So Georgia law requires that election officials have each ballot scanner print 3 closing tapes at the end of each voting day. Poll workers must sign these tapes or include a documented reason for refusal. Voting laws also require poll workers to begin each day of voting by printing and signing a quote-unquote zero tape, showing that voting machines are starting at 0 votes. If there is no record of whether the tabulator was set at 0 at the start of polling, there is no way of telling whether ballots from a previous election or ballots from a test run were left on the memory card and might later be counted. Notably, this happened in Montana, where officials discovered more votes than were cast and believed the votes were leftover sample data that had not been cleared. Quote, these signed tapes are the sole legal certification that the reported totals are authentic, Cross told the SEB at the December 9th hearing. Fulton County produced 0 signed tabulator tapes in early voting. Cross stated that he obtained 77 megabytes of election records from Fulton County through an open records request that cost $15,800. Imagine that, almost $16,000 for 77 megabytes. I mean, we're not talking terabytes of information here. According to Cross, these included 134 tabulator tapes representing 315,000 votes. Each signature block on these tapes was blank, Cross said. Cross also highlighted additional irregularities, such as polling locations being open at impossibly late hours like 2:09 a.m. Cross also said he found duplicated scanner serial numbers where the memory devices were removed from one scanner and printed on an alternate scanner. Now, you might have remembered back on election night of 2020, and there were buildings it was in Pennsylvania, where they kicked out the poll watchers, the Republican poll watchers, because by law they're allowed to be in there to oversee the counting process. Well, they were forced out of the building. Then they locked the doors, and then they put up brown paper over all the windows. That was all on camera. They showed that on the news. And surprise, surprise, we all know what happened. Ultimately, quote, these are not clerical errors. They are catastrophic breaks in chain of custody and certification, Cross said. Because no tape was ever legally certified, Fulton County had no lawful authority to certify its advanced voting results to the Secretary of State, yet it did, Cross said. And Secretary Raffensperger accepted and folded those uncertified numbers into Georgia's official total without questioning them. This is not partisan. This is statutory. This is the law. When the law demands 3 signatures on tabulator tapes and the county fails to follow those rules, those 315,000 votes are, by definition, uncertified. And why would they do that? It just makes you wonder, if they weren't cheating, if they had no funny business going on in the background, why would they have not certified these? It just begs the question. If you wanted everything to be on the up and up, why wouldn't you sign off on this? And what did they say? It was like in 18 and 19 jurisdictions, or here it is. 36 out of 37 advanced voting precincts in Fulton County, Georgia, failed to sign the tabulation tapes. So it wasn't just one single precinct. It was widespread. It was all over the county. So anyway, so Cross is asking all right, here, let me see if I skipped over anything. Okay, so Kevin Moncla, an election integrity activist who has been at the forefront of these challenges, estimates the number is likely higher than 315,000. Cross is asking the SEB to impose sanctions on Fulton County, have them publicly acknowledge their violations, and for the state to decertify Fulton County's 2020 advanced voting results. It's not to change who sits in the White House or what the score was, but instead to place an indelible and permanent asterisk on the record and finally force accountability. The Federalist inquired with the Georgia Secretary of State's office as to who was responsible for accepting Fulton County's tabulator tapes, despite there being no signatures at all. The office did not return a request for comment at the time of publication. And like I said earlier, there's going to be no accountability to this. Even if they put in an asterisk, what the hell is that going to do? I mean, what is to stop them from doing the same thing all over again? Not really much of anything. I mean, all of this is already in the law, but nobody's going to get in trouble for this. It's absolutely insane. It's ridiculous. Matter of fact, somebody should be going to prison over that. Not just one person, but I would argue everybody who failed to sign off on that, of all those different precincts, every single one of those people should be thrown in prison for that. They absolutely should have, because they knew their responsibility and they didn't follow it. They should be hit with, maybe arguably, they should be hit with a felony count for every single illegal vote that they didn't sign off on. It's my opinion, 315,000 felonies. How about that?
If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Check out The Swamp, Monday through Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern, with segments dropping on the daily. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.